Oh, Sam Brothers.
It's Jenny Brothers.
I know.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. How are you?
I'm fine. I spent the whole day in my garden, and now I have black snot because I've been like digging in the dirt and it's a little dusty. So I was like, blew my nose. I'm like, oh.
I did that yesterday because I mowed the neighbor's yard yesterday, and then I mowed the front yard. I haven't gotten to the backyard yet because that took me 3 hours to do. Because I had to mow their yard twice because it had grown up so high, and then I have so many dandelions in my front yard, and you know how dandelions mow; they barely mow, so I had to mow my front yard twice too. So by the time I was done, I literally had like 16 pounds of grass in my. I'm like, I literally needed like a yard bag from Menards to put it out front to have the city take it away.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, I cleaned the chicken coop and the brooder, so even though I wore a mask for that, it was just like, I hope that's not my brain.
And she blew chicken poop out her nose.
Exactly.
So, So yeah. So today I went and visited Mom, and we'll talk about Mom towards the end because we have a special slide for Mother's Day.
Wonderful.
So, Joe Peters says that we both discussed him. Whatever. You're the grossest, Joe.
Exactly. I'm like, ew, you teach 7th grade and see if you're not wounded.
Exactly. Ew. So, Ann, we're going to get right down to brass tacks today because I got to finish my chores before bedtime so I can go to school tomorrow because we have 3 weeks and 2 days left. So, oh, nice. He's quoting Hamilton because he says, you disgust me. And then he's like, at least you disgust me like in Hamilton.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
You're the best. All right. So like I said, we are here on this Mother's Day to discuss something completely non-mom related because technically there's not even really a mother in this movie because Gerard Butler is the mother and the father and everything. Yeah. So we are here today to discuss the movie Plane. Now, Joe has requested that every time I say the title that I have to say plane because that's kind of what it feels like Hodor, except plane. So Joe, that was plane. That's yeah, and we'll get to the title again when we talk about things about this movie. But you can see from the title slide here that it is a below average title, but an above average movie.
Yeah.
So and
they didn't waste a bunch of time titling it.
Yeah, no, they didn't waste a bit of time. This there's a plane in this movie. Let's name it that. Okay.
They said, well, right now we'll call it Plane as the working title, and then we'll come back around to it, and they never did.
They must have. Was that before or after the writer's strike? Oh, it was before the writer's strike started. Yeah. So that's what I was thinking. All right. So some things that you should know about the Plane is that it is an action movie. It was released just this year in 2023, like a February release date. It is directed by Jean-Francois Richer. He's French. And he's super French. If you watch interviews with him, he's like a real French guy. This isn't just some like made up Canadian French guy. He is truly French. And
he also directed the movie Assault on Precinct 13, which is a pretty decent movie. I can't remember it, but I remember enjoying it. It's got Lawrence Fishburne and Ethan Hawke.
That's right. I was like, wait a second, was Gerard Butler in that? I'm like, no, he wasn't. It was Ethan Hawke. That's right. Screenplay by Charles Cumming and J.P. Davis. And you added that there are thrillers and spy fiction and other movies that we haven't seen.
Yeah, Charles Cummings is he does novels, thriller novels, spy fiction, that sort of thing.
Okay.
J.P. Davis was just kind of like, I was looking at his other movies. I'm like, I haven't seen any of these.
That's okay. That's totally fine. This movie stars Gerard Butler. So this is an opportunity for Anne and I to continue our mild obsession with Gerard Butler.
I probably wouldn't have seen this movie if Gerard Butler was in it.
No, I would have totally skipped it. Yeah. Monica has joined us and she says, I'll see your 7th graders and raise you special ed preschoolers on grossness level. Yeah, you totally win that, Monica. That's not close. The lower you get I think the grosser they get, but that's why I don't teach elementary or preschool. Preschool's a nightmare. Yeah.
It is.
And she goes on to say, "Good thing they're absolutely adorable and worth their weight in uncontrolled snot." Oh, that makes me.
I have to disagree with the adorable parts. I think they're gross.
I can just see the snot rope coming out of the nose, and then I can equally see the snot rope going back up.
Like a little licking it, some chapped lips because they've been licking the snot rope. Hey, Joe, you grossed out now?
Woo! Woo! That was nasty. Okay, so anyway, back to Plane. We've got Gerard Butler, and then we've got starring with him is Nick Coulter, who I remember him from the series Jessica Jones. He was on that, and I think he is lovely. I just think he is a lovely, lovely looking man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Luke Cage.
Luke Cage, honey?
Is the character.
Oh, that he played Luke Cage.
Yes.
He had his own series on Netflix as well.
Yes, and he is lovely in that as well. He is a good-looking man. So,
he is a good-looking man.
You can rent it. Now, this movie is not streaming you have to rent it. So we rented it on Amazon Prime.
So
it was
we.
like $5. Joe says he folds. He's given up on the on us. So our disgustingness.
And we haven't even started yet.
Totally got to tap out. That's amazing. All right. All right. So I've split this up into what it's about in a couple different parts. So part one, what it's about, part one, the flight and the emergency landing. So this movie is about a plane. Duh. Butler plays commercial pilot Brody Torrance, and he has a co-pilot named Samuel Dale, and they are flying a plane with 14 passengers to Honolulu via Tokyo. Now, I forgot to put this in the part that I didn't like, but let's be honest. In this day and age of flight travel, nobody is going to be flying a plane with 14 passengers on it. They would cancel the flight and tell those people to figure it out for themselves.
That's the first thing I thought. I was like, 14 people. And is this 1979?
Totally. I'm like,
stretch out to have their own row?
Yeah, I'm like, the 90s are over. Nobody flies an empty plane anymore because of everything.
Of everything. I was like, do you get like a full dinner too?
Totally. Yeah, if they would have pulled out like a full dinner, I'm like, no, this movie is over. So anyway, one of the passengers is captured fugitive Louis Gaspar, Nick Coulter's character. And Torrance is told before the flight, they're doing the weather check, and Torrance is told by the dumb white guy to fly through a storm because it will save fuel and they can just fly above it, blah, blah, blah. But of course, this is the harbinger of doom. They're like, well, that's not going to work. And it doesn't. So they fly through the storm, or they try to fly above the storm. They can't get above it because it's too big, because sometimes storms get really high. The plane gets hit by lightning and it knocks out the electrical systems, and they start to have a controlled descent, but they're having to use like physics instead of electricity. And anyway, long story short, it's super bumpy and turbulent, but Torrance and Dale are forced to do a last ditch emergency landing on Jolo Island in the Philippines. And I got to tell you,
it's exciting.
It's toy. It really is. So anyway, I've provided you with a map for two reasons. A, if you don't know where the Philippines is, there it is. It's south and east of China, and B, Jolo Island in relation to the Philippines. And I was thinking maybe for some people, if you don't know where that is in relation to the United States, if you're looking at this map, the United States is off to the right.
Way off.
Or off to the left.
Or way off. I can't even see it. This isn't a map of the world. Where's the United States?
Yeah, just so you know, the world is round and it's around there somewhere. It's on the other side, essentially. Okay, good talk. All right.
Three-dimensional.
So anyway, that's essentially part one. The part one is that they have the land, the emergency in the air, and then they land on Jolo Island. The good news is the plane really isn't heavily damaged. The electrical system, one of the engines is out, but it's in pretty good shape, relatively speaking. However, 2 people died during all the turbulence. Gaspar's guard and one of the nice little flight attendants. They like break their necks when they get bumped into the ceiling, and it's super sad. Not really. So anyway, they get everybody off the plane, and it's amazing. You wouldn't, like, to me, if you just survive this thing and your pilot basically busts his ass to save your life, you'd be like, thanks, dude, for saving our lives. But instead, everybody is so bitchy and whiny. They're super ungrateful. They get off the plane, they bitch, they moan, they complain about everything. Anyway.
It's hot. I'm thirsty.
Well, I'm not going to be able to get home for blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's really, you just want to slap all of their dumb, especially the bald guy. Ugh.
There's 2 bald guys, Jenny. There's 2 bald characters. There's the Australian bald guy and the American bald guy.
Oh, I forgot about the Australian bald guy.
English. The other guy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Duncan says he's English.
Well, they were both Jags. Anyway, turns out that they just happened to land on the worst possible island because apparently Jolo Island is a lawless no man's land where the Philippine government won't even go there because it's full of rebels that are like heavily armed, and there are a bunch of hostage taking, ransom getting, murdering, no good nicks. Okay.
Bad place, man.
Yeah, and at this point,
it's like
nobody
worse than
knows.
Disney Island.
Wait, say that again.
That's worse than Disney Island. Does Disney
Yeah.
have an island? Oh, it's Florida. Yeah, never mind.
Disney Island. Okay. Anyway, no one knows where the plane is at this point. So Torrance decides he's got to leave the group and try to go get help. And he takes Gaspar with him because Gaspar is a little ill-tempered. And the passengers keep staring at him and taking pictures of him. And he ends up, he's going to end up basically kicking somebody's ass. He almost does, but then they stop him. And, honestly, if you're going to go out into the jungle of an unknown island, you want Louis Gaspar with you because he's a badass. And it's very
Turns
obvious.
out he is.
Yeah. So anyway, meanwhile, in New York, the airline realizes that they've lost this plane. And Torrance, he is able to find a phone and make a call. But it's kind of broken up because he gets into this big fight. But anyway, long story short, they figure out he's on Jolo Island and they're like, oh, that's the worst possible island. They're not going to get any U.S. help. They're not going to get any Filipino help. So one of the executives, played by Tony Goldwyn, who you might remember was in Ghost 1,000 years ago. He was the bad guy that ends up getting dragged to hell. Well, one of two bad guys gets dragged to hell by the demons. Anyway, sorry.
That was awesome.
He calls his crack mercenary rescue squad to go to the islands with a bunch of weapons. And they are some killer good weapons. I showed the picture of the gun that just kind of blows people in half and all that sort of stuff. So they go to the island with all these weapons and $500,000 in cash.
Because we might need a smoothie break.
We might need a smoothie break. $500,000 should just about cover it. So
just about.
Anyway, I don't want to hit you with a bunch of spoilers, but this is what I will say. While Torrance and Gaspar are looking for help, the group of passengers is captured by the local no good bad guy rebel leader Datu Junmar. Sorry.
Wow.
Anyway, Datu shows us his badness immediately by killing a Korean couple that attempt to run away. So Torrance and Gaspar, they're forced to attempt a rescue of the passengers. And then the mercenary party shows up. And the action in the final act is way action Pee-wee. And in the end, the real hero is the plane.
It is. It's the plane.
Yeah.
The Trailblazer.
The Trailblazer plane. It's a hardy plane. Anyway, what's good about this movie? And you have to take this with a grain of salt because you're automatically understanding that you are watching a Gerard Butler film. And Gerard Butler is not going to win Oscars ever for any reason. So
unless nobody else was nominated.
Unless nobody else was nominated. And then I think they might not give it to him anyway because they're like, yeah, man, you're Gerard Butler. But with that said, this is a tight action movie. They don't drag the story out. It's a solid 88 minutes. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of downtime between the action-y stuff. There's just enough time for you to get some opinions about the characters. Mm-hmm. And Gerard is in fine form. He looks like he's taking care of himself again. We saw him in Geostorm, and we started to wonder and worry about his health because he was super puffy and looked like he might have had one too many scotches and cigarettes between 300 in that movie.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, somebody looks like they got some liver damage.
Yeah. So he looks better in this movie. He's lost some weight. He's tightened things up a little bit. And the third thing is I just dig Dick Coulter. I just think I just like him. I like him.
Yeah. He really elevated this movie.
Yes, he did. It's a solid action movie. I mean, it's not overly explodey. There's not like a lot of like stupid action like you see in all the superhero movies where they're smashing each other with buses and stuff. So I didn't see any of that.
Yeah, and it's not like a bunch of like catchphrases. That was nice too.
Yeah, Yeah, there's none of that because really Gerard Butler's character is not an action hero. He's just a dude he's an ex Royal Air Force pilot, Scottish Air Force pilot who, just happened to get himself into a bad situation and just felt responsible for his passengers. It doesn't really try to be anything other than that. It's entertaining. The plane scene is riveting. It's riveting, and it's actually really scary. The camera work in the fight scene where he's after the phone call when he's kind of fighting to keep from getting stabbed is really interesting how they filmed that. I thought it was really interesting and good.
Yeah, I looked like everybody was hot and tired and, not in the best of shape. And I was like, that's how guys who are hot and tired and not in the best of shape try to keep from killing themselves.
Yeah, it didn't have the look of a choreographed fight. It had a look of two guys that were really one trying to kill the other and the other one really trying not to get killed.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
it's a good fight scene.
Yeah. And as you put, Anne, it was kind of multicultural-ish. And, and we'll talk a little bit about that and the what's bad about the movie is that, yeah, there were Asians in this movie, there were blacks, there were women, but it's, yeah, let's get to that with the not so good things about the movie Plane. And that it's very American formulaic in that you have the standard white guy hero. Yes, Nick Coulter is there, and he is also a hero, but he's kind of the side piece hero.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny because he really is the reason that they get as far as they do.
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, everybody would be dead if it wasn't for him.
Yeah, he would have been dead as soon as he would have run into to try to stop the guy from killing the couple.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. It's formulaic in that you have some sort of non-white bad guys because that seems to be a thing. Ann and I were talking about it before the show that in terms of Gerard Butler movies, there's always some non-white bad guy. Like in what was it? In Olympus Has Fallen, it was North Koreans. In London Has Fallen, it was Arabs. In Angel Has Fallen, I guess Angel Has Fallen, it was bad military white guys. In Geostorm, it was bad magnetic field. In
300, it was Persians.
300, it was Persian. So, in that respect, it was definitely more of the same.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing with the plane and how they took off at the end, the physics of that, nope, absolutely not.
Nope.
Yeah, no.
Nope. Wishing really hard is not going to make it happen.
Yeah, nope.
Everybody lean forward.
No. Yeah. And and like in every action movie, we just can't not put the whole family dynamic storyline into it as if anybody wants that. I'm like, I don't want to see. I don't care about that. I just don't.
No.
I'm like, yeah, your daughter's great. She was very helpful. The women in the movie are all helpless window dressing. So the other things that are not so good about this movie are the title. Plane!
I heard this rumor that they're supposed to be making a series of these, like train, ship, etc.
Sorry.
I don't know if that's true, but I think it's hilarious.
Sailboat, new choice.
Exactly. Escalator.
Oh, ooh, escalator and then elevator.
Exactly.
Really, a whole series of them.
Catamaran.
Ooh, yeah, that's
what I'm
talking about
right
right there.
Anything, man. That's the thing.
All right. So, okay, what else? So, Anne, you want to talk? You added these last two, so go ahead and talk about these last two.
So this is a recent-ish twist in the white guy hero plot, and that is to add the middle-aged white guy hero. So think about John Wick or Taken movies, like they're doing everything they used to do when they were young, only now they're just a little out of breath and a little punchy. So that's kind of what this is. Because, we can't yet let the youngish baby boomers or the Gen X dudes feel like they can't be cool butt-kicking dudes anymore. So, I think it's funny that we're seeing like this action hero movie go from like, what was it, Matt Damon, like super buff and young and hot to these like older guys that you're like.
You know who you have to thank for that? Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah, that's exactly again. So I'm like, we're still awesome. We're still awesome. So
Yes.
you sing more of that. I'm like, oh, look at that. Huh.
Joe wanted to let us know that whoever came up with the title of this movie, it's the same creative team that named the movie 300. They would have called it Abs.
Oh, that would
Yep.
have been a good title too. Yeah, and then of course, going back to the multiculturalism, so I said multicultural-ish, but it is multicultural-ish, but it really is just to make the heroism of the white middle-aged guy really pop. It's like, here we have all these other people, yet they still can't quite get the job done. We need the white guy. We really just need a white guy, even if he's Scottish.
Even if he's Scottish, and it's hard to hear because Gerard Butler, I don't think he ever took an acting class where they taught him how to enunciate. So he always kind of talks like this, and you never quite understand what he's saying.
I was going to say, it's like he's got rocks in his mouth.
A little bit, marbles, rocks, I totally get that. So, but overall though, if you can get by those things and you want to just see a kind of a cool action movie, this will do nicely.
It's definitely, one of those, I'm like, I don't want to think very hard. Well, here you go. Do you want to be entertained and not have to think very hard? Here's a great movie.
This movie's low stakes. I saw the movie Women Talking.
Oh, that
movie is not low stakes. That is a high stakes movie, and you will feel exhausted and a little bit sick afterwards. This Plane is not that movie.
No.
You literally forget it as
talking, so you can mellow a little.
Oh yeah, you definitely you have to watch something fun and stupid after Women Talking because you're gonna feel bad after that movie.
Yes,
it's a good movie. You're gonna feel bad. All right, so so I would say overall thumbs up. And I, for whatever reason, I was thinking about this movie compared to the movie Moonfall. And I hated Moonfall to the depths of my soul. And I'm like, why is it that I don't hate this movie, but I hated Moonfall? And I think it was because Moonfall was this movie that should have been dumb and fun, and it took itself way too seriously. And this movie really didn't.
No, Moonfall was like twice as long. It was, and it's not like Moonfall isn't like 50,000 other movies. This movie is like a bunch of other movies.
Yeah.
But it was, they did everything that you want this movie to be. It was.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. So since we're talking about planes, I added a slide of other movies with planes that I like. Well, that are pretty good. They're all right in no particular order.
Felt like these are all movies with planes in them.
These are all movies with planes. Some are better than others. Some very quotable. So anyway, we went with Air Force One. Get off of my plane, which is Harrison Ford. This is Harrison Ford finest. Mm-hmm. Die Hard 2, not as good as the first one. Snakes on a Plane, which delivered the line, I got to get these motherfucking snakes off this motherfucking plane, which is poetry. Con Air. I don't even know what to say about Con Air.
I don't even know what to say either, Jenny Brothers. I'm like,
yeah. But it's not a plane. Airport and any of the subsequent airport movies from the 70s, which left an impression on me in the 70s. I had a little bit of a fear of flying when I was a kid because of Airport 77, Airport 78, and Airport 79.
Damn.
I know. Flight, which is intense. Sully, which was good. Up in the Air, which was, I think that's one of my favorite plane movies ever. Yeah. Castaway, Top Gun Maverick, Flight Plan, and of course, the greatest airplane movie ever, Airplane. Surely you must be joking. I'm not joking. And don't call me Shirley.
Oh, Duncan liked it because you got to see boobies.
You did get to see boobies for no particular reason. They're
just there. Hey, look, some boobs.
And off they go. I wonder if they could make Airplane today. I don't think they could.
Oh no, I don't think they could. Definitely could not make that movie today.
Yeah, no. It's offensive on every possible level, and
Yeah.
It's still one of my favorite comedies ever.
Yeah.
I'll just drink my drink now. So anyway, all of these movies are very watchable. Probably the one that's least watchable, any of the airport movies. They're terrible. But that's part of that genre of disaster movies from the 70s where you have all of these aging stars from the 50s and 60s that end up in these airplane movies.
I don't know. I think Con Air is the worst.
Is that Michael Bay? That's Michael Bay, isn't it?
It's a Michael Bay film.
Yeah.
You know, Michael Bay films should only be watched with the mute button on completely. That's you're like, you should not have to listen to a single word that is said in any of his movies.
That's a quote from John Turturro. Has been in a number of his movies.
Yeah, Con Air's bad.
It is bad. It has a really good cast, and it's terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty
I
bad.
saw that movie in the theater.
You did? I did not. I'm like, okay, which one's worse? Con Air or The Rock?
Oh, Con Air is way worse than The Rock. Way worse. I watched The Rock with John Seibert. Remember John?
Oh,
We
yeah.
used to babysit him, and I sat and watched it with him when he was like 11 because he was really into like good guys and bad guys. And so this was the first time he had like seen something with a good guy who had gone bad. And I was like trying to explain that concept to him. I'm like, it's like, and he's like, he was floored by the idea that you could have like this good person who does bad things, So after that, when he would play with characters, he's like, he's a good guy, but now he's bad.
Nice. So Joe Peters would like to disagree with you. Con Air is glorious, and for you to shut your woman hole.
Was that a quote in that movie? I'm pretty sure it was.
That's a Joe Peters quote. He also wants you to know that The Rock is even better than Con Air. So
I think The Rock is better. And they're both terrible. They're both terrible.
Shut your woman hole. Wow.
I don't know what hole is that?
That's a good one. You have many holes in you as a woman, and so
Exactly. So I'm not sure which one to shut, so I won't shut any of them.
There you go. Anyway, now you know everything you need to know about A, plane, and B, movies with planes in them. So let's take a moment to wish our mother a happy Mother's Day. There she is, Cynthia Joe.
Happy Mother's Day!
Happy Mother's Day. And then I got to thinking about mothers, and then I'm like, I'm rewatching Game of Thrones again, because that's what I do now. When I get stressed out, I watch Game of Thrones because I love it so much and I know it's going to happen.
So you can just sit back and watch all the glory.
The glory that is, the glory that is the first 6 seasons, because I just got done with season 7 last week, and I got to tell you, that season is fucking terrible.
I know. Like, come on.
Season 8 is bad. Season 7 is even worse. I'm like, this makes no effing sense whatsoever. Anyway, here's our favorite mothers of Westeros. We have the Elena Tyrell, the Queen of Thorns. Below her is Ilara Sand, of course, Daenerys Targaryen. We have Gilly down at the bottom here, and of course we have Cersei Lannister, and of course we have Catelyn Stark. Is of all of those, I think the only one that ends up not dead is Gilly.
Yeah. So true.
Yep. Good job, Gilly. Way to hang in there. She's tough, though. She's a wildling. She's one of Craster's wives and daughter. So, yeah. Here's some of our favorite non-mothers of Westeros, because, you don't have to be a mother. You can choose to do things your own way. And so, of course, we have Sansa and Melisandre and Ygritte, and I can't think of her name. What's her name?
Miss Sneeze.
Translator.
Missandei.
That's it. Missandei. And of course, Arya, and we have Asha down here, and we have Brienne of Tarth, and of course, down here we have, I can't think of her name either.
She was
the Mormont. Leanna Mormont.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I figure since Plane had no good female characters, then we could go someplace that had a bunch of them.
Well, just a whole pile of great female characters, which would be Game of Thrones. I mean, seriously, toy. So yeah. Anyway, that's our show for this week. So what are we talking about next time, Ann Brothers?
Jenny, next time we meet, it will be Memorial Day, and I have a yum box from Belgium. I didn't know if you wanted to do a Belgian food taste test. I could come to Kalamazoo. We could eat some Belgian yum stuff. I didn't know. Are you going to Petoskey?
I don't know. I don't know if I want to be in Petoskey during Memorial Day weekend.
I think you do, but you never know.
I never know. We'll see. We'll either do that one. I think we should do that, or we should review the book Lessons in Chemistry.
Well, I am reading it a second time, but I can probably be ready to do one in 2 weeks for that.
All right. Well, we'll figure it out. We're either going to do a Universal Yums box next time in 2 weeks, or we're going to talk about the book Lessons in Chemistry, which is a great book and will piss you right off.
Yeah. So.
And I also want to talk about, eventually, I want to talk about the book Devil in the White City.
Oh yeah, me too. I just finished that one too. So yeah. So if you need something to read Lessons in Chemistry, and then we can discuss it. You can discuss it with us. Maybe.
Yeah. That's your book club homework. We're gonna start the that's probably a good idea. Maybe we should start the Brothers Sisters book club.
Oh, there you go.
And your homework, America, is to read Lessons in Chemistry. So thanks, Joe Peters, for telling us that we had a wonderful show. Thank you for your incredibly good commentary. So
yeah, I was going to say, even though that we insulted your favorite movies and then grossed you out with ropes of snot.
But you hung in there with us. Good job, love.
Lessons in Chemistry is by Bonnie Garmus.
Bonnie Garmus, that's right. Yeah, good stuff. So anyway, we will see you guys in 2 weeks, and we will tell you. We are, like I said, we'll know when you guys know what we're going to be doing that day. So,
we'll figure it out probably the week before, maybe not.
We usually do. We usually figure it out the week before. So
exactly.
Yeah, we'll know by the end of next week what we're doing. Yeah. All right, you kids. All right. Be good out there. Have a great week. And, if you got nothing better to do, give yourself the 88 minutes of fun that is the movie Plane.
Exactly.
Right.
All right.
All right, everybody. Peace out. We are signing off. Be good, be safe, make excellent choices. Cool.